Hi everybody, Emily here for Hip Kit Club. This week over at Hip Kit Club, we challenge you to only using shades of pink with a hint of mustard. So as you've guessed it, it's a color challenge this week. I created this layout with the September kit, which is absolutely perfect to fit in with this challenge. You can also use your August kit or your October kit for this challenge. It's fairly broad really, and that's the great thing with this challenge because you can use any shade of pink. It can be a lighter pink, baby pink, darker pink, more autumnal pink. It's any shades of pink, and then a hint of mustard, so it's kind of that dirtier yellow. I love mustard. It's one of my favorite color. Adore it, and I was right in my element with this kit and with challenge. It can be difficult to stop yourself from putting too much in or to also make it work. You could go with a white background and then layer your color on top of it. I decided to go for a pattern background. So for my hint of yellow, for my hint of mustard, I chose that pleated paper for framing behind this grid paper. Both of them are from Maggie Holmes, and I distressed the edges of my pink paper. I then glued it around, and as you will see, I'll come back with my layout with the edges all stitched down. So I've stitched around the edges with my sewing machine. So that's me distressing it a little bit more around the edges, bending some a little bit, going away and coming back with the edges all stitched up. I then decided to add a little bit of white to break through all that intense colour going around. So I fussy cut some of the flowers from the Maggie Home collection. First I placed them down because I wanted to create a wreath, and I fussy cut everything. So I'm fast forwarding you through it, and you'll see I have fussy cut everything that I wanted, and then place it back onto my background to again have a look at that formation that I've created and do a few adjustments. So placing it all back in that wreath kind of shape, and I decide that I'm gonna add a little bit of that super gorgeous vellum after I've added a few flickers of the Lindy's Gang watercolor. So I used the shade that's a bit more pink at first. I diluted it and then flicked it on my background, creating that circle shape that will be behind my wreath, and it's just reinforcing that circle, that impression of a circle. So loads of flicker, loads of layering of dots of paint, just creating a bit of interest, a bit of texture and a bit of depth. So as mentioned before, I also decided to fussy cut some of the vellum from, I think this one is from Emilie Tangerine, and I absolutely love this vellum, absolutely gorgeous. I really love those specialty papers that kind of, it's foiled vellum, and it really adds some nice interest. It's something that you can reproduce yourself using some stamp, embossing ink and metallic embossing powder, so you can kind of reproduce that effect, and it's super effective. I was trying to fidget a bit with my palette color and ended up accidentally creating a drop of paint on that background, but it's okay, adapt it down a little bit and I'm gonna make it work. So sometimes just don't over worry with little accident. I diluted some white acrylic paint, and same again, I'm going around that circle, adding some flickers. I just thought it needed a little bit of a lighter color around as well on that background to break it through and to bring back the white part of that plaid that's around the edges on the back. I am then fussy cutting some of the tags. So this is where the fun begins, where you place everything onto the layout. I started with the white flowers, and I didn't really want to give myself a massive headache with it, so I just decided to bite the bullet and glue everything down straight away instead of playing around with placing. And I think it worked really well in this instance for me. I've been a bit struggling lately with my designs and my creativity, and I think I've been overthinking everything too much. So this kind of way of let's just glue everything down, it really worked for me to just remove any stress or pressure from it. I just enjoyed the fact of putting everything down and gluing it straight away and not have to overthink everything. I didn't like the look of my photo being directly onto the paper, so I mounted it onto that kind of animal print, mustard cheetah or leopard, I'm not too sure. Anyway, I mounted it onto that mustard paper and then added it to my layout on double-sided sticky foam pads. I decided to place buff tags behind it to give it a bit more of a support onto my layout, so it was kind of breaking that wreath a little bit more, and it gives it a visual support, so it's make it more obvious to the eyes that this is the photo area. It's not a random place, and it just make it work. I think it really adds that little extra detail that's lovely. I also added this little sticker label, I suppose I'll say label, from Pink Fresh Studio, behind the photo on the left, and it's just, again, it's to create that clustering effect. We already have a lot of clustering with that wreath going around the page everywhere, so to have something completely different, not so much with flowers but more of straight lines, because your flowers have more of a rounded line, the wreath has more of a rounded line, so to break it through and to add more straight line to a photo which already is made of straight line, kind of give it a section to my wreath that makes it work visually and make it stand out without make it not work. I don't know if you see what I mean. It's just it kind of helped visually. I'm then going through the sticker book from Maggie Holmes, and I'm adding the little tiny details that kind of make the wreath come to life a little bit more, with a few more colors, a few more pink flowers, mustard flowers. It goes around and it gives it that little effect that you get into, with a real 3D life wreath, which is where you have some flowers that are more behind, more in front. It gives it that layer and it makes it look more real and bring it more to life. It adds details to it. Sometimes when I'm not too sure as to where to place things, I know like my photo is placed there but it's not glued down yet, I've placed that little frame there in a corner, and it's to see if over time as I play around with my layout, if my eyes get used to it or if it clashes and it annoys me as I go along. So I'm leaving it here, and it's a nice way to see if once you remove it, if you miss it, or if you actually feel like, oh, I can breathe, it's nicer without. So that's one of my tips. Sometimes when you're not sure, leave it there until you take it away and see if you miss it or not. I decided that I missed a little bit of the white flower on the right hand side of the photo, so I took one of the flowers that I had already fussy cut, glued it behind my photo, and it helped balance and frame my photograph and make it still part of the wreath. Even though we have all those straight lines around there, it's still making part of the wreath. I decided that I wanted to add that little frame. I like the fact that it was mustard, and I like the fact that it was breaking through a lot of that pink. I thought, however, that I wanted to add a bit more detail to it in the inside of it without being journaling or anything like that. I felt that this layout didn't really need any journaling. I know there's always a story to be told, but I don't know, I just wanted an easygoing layout. I thought it was already quite heavy with all the paper embellishment. I didn't want to add to that weight with some journaling, and I was quite happy to leave it as it was. There would have always been the option of making those tags behind the photo removable, where I could have had hidden journaling, but I'm quite happy that this is a photo that I will scrapbook again as a pair with some of the photos that I took on that day. And I'm quite happy as well that in my layout, my album, I always organise my layout by the date of the photos and not the date I've created the layout. So I know that this layout will be next to photos that I have taken on the same day, even though I haven't scrubbed them yet, and I might not scrub them for another year, I don't know. But I know that there will be a journaling piece on one of the other layouts that explains what was happening on that day. And I know that the photo is fairly self-explanatory. I know that she's in her little waterproof, she's in our backyard. I can see all that from the photo, and I know therefore that we were just playing in the rain, splashing around in the puddles, because that's something she loved, and it's become a big part of our daily life. And yeah, we live in England, it rains and especially in the north, so yeah, it's for me it's much easier. So as you may have seen, I've trimmed a little bit of that flower on the left hand side. It was, I think, annoying me a little bit, and I wanted to replace some of that white onto near the clearer paper, the acetate, that's the one, not the acetate, the vellum. Oh my god, it's becoming a long day today. So yeah, I've reported it near to the vellum, and to add a bit of white. I also decided I wanted to add a few more splatters on top of my flowers, just that little details that make it repeat from the background. And there you go, here's my finished layout. I hope you enjoyed this process video, and I hope that you enjoyed the whole speaking that goes with it, and all the explanation. Don't hesitate to like the video and follow me right down below the video. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day. Thank you, bye.